What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to this week's Cop Council podcast here on the Anfield Agenda. I am, of course, your host, Craig, and joining me tonight, I've got Cash, I've got Dave, and I've got Tom. Guys, I say it every week, I'm never going to change the way I say things. We're going straight into the listeners' questions. They're always what's up. And Cash, I have a question for you, first and foremost. What, in your opinion, is the most suitable retribution for non-believers or those of a constant negative disposition towards their team?
I think we should strap them to the back of like a tow truck, drive with them around the city or town or wherever they live, and allow people to pelt them with eggs and flour. I think that's probably suitable. Potentially stones, but not like stones that would kill, just like stones that would like hurt a little bit. That's what I would say. No, I don't know. I think I feel like just a lifelong Twitter ban. Just get them like banned from ever having a Twitter account, because the negativity is just constantly on social media, and I find it tedious.
It is horrible. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I kind of give Twitter a wide berth from time to time, Cash. It can be soul destroying, and it can affect your mood for the entire day.
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, like I think Twitter is a great gift. In so much as it's a great way to engage with people that you've never met and may well never meet. And it's an amazing platform, but again, like with every good thing, it can also be used for evil. I say evil, but you know, it can be used for misdoing. You know, and as a result, it's just very much for me something like you say, you've occasionally got to give it a wide berth, because otherwise it can just completely consume you, people's negativity. And I think what's interesting is that like some people seem to thrive in the negativity, some people really seem to thrive in misery, and those aren't really the kind of people that I want to be around in footballing terms or in any sense.
I didn't even know that Jose Mourinho was on social media.
Yeah, he's not on there, but I think quite a few party accounts of him are.
Tom, whilst we don't want to impinge on anybody's freedom of speech, there are an awful lot of really miserable, horrible bastards out there in the world.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, and I think Cash is right. A lot of them do reside on Twitter. You know, in terms of a suitable retribution, I've gone specifically for Liverpool fans here, because I guess that's what he's talking about. So I'd probably strap them to a chair. Bear with me here.
Is this getting kinky, Tom? Because I'm loving it. If it is, yeah. Ann Summers coming back in.
Well, just you wait. You know, if you think this is getting kinky, then wait till I mention. We'll put the repeat of, you know, a lot of the games from the Roy Hodgson era of Liverpool. You know, that. Remember those teams that you see on Twitter, like of how far we've come. I know the one in the Champions League with like Barini up front is used a lot from Rodgers, but you know, we could have the likes of David and Gog, and like Coates and Kyriakos and Spearing and fucking
Poulsen, Jovanovic.
Yeah, you know, that whole shit show. Jovanovic, another one. You know, I could keep listing them. That whole shit show, just playing and losing to teams like Sunderland on the regular. Yeah, that would definitely drive people insane.
Tom, I could see you. I could see your ass dragged in front of the Hague for doing that to people, Tom.
Yeah, I think it's worth the risk, you know, if they stop being miserable bastards. But I mean, it will drive you crazy, but it will also make you appreciate that now, you know, we're just breaking records on transfer dealings left, right, and centre. So yeah, fuck them.
There are, Dave, some people on social media, and if we look at this from a Liverpool perspective, we're all Liverpool fans, so we can only really speak about it from a Liverpool perspective. But there are some awful miserable fuckers on there who never have anything good to say.
If we are talking about the Liverpool perspective, I'm going to go one further than Tom, and I would make them watch Everton every home for a season. And I tell you one thing. Then they'd be more than happy to go back to Anfield and watch Liverpool. Then, other than that, if they're just miserable bastards, just in life in general, you know, again, this is kind of a bit deep, but like, look at the places in the world that are just horrible to live in now. You have the likes of Syria and different things like that. And a lot of people just need to cop themselves on because they don't know how lucky they have it, really and truly. But yeah,
these are real first world problems, all right.
Yeah, Goodison for the season, and I tell you one thing, they'll have a completely different output in life then.
Thank you so much for the Raptor for sending that question in. For me, I would have gone for a good old fashioned drawn and quartering, which I'm quite fond of.
Put them in the stocks, like I think make them watch the 1-0 defeat to Wolves. Wasn't that Roy Hodgson's last game? Does anyone remember that?
Blackburn was his last game.
Oh, it was his last game. But he won. Didn't we lose at Anfield 1-0 to Wolves? And I remember that being like the worst game that I've ever watched.
I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast actually, and he was talking about, you know, Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
The famous gonzo journalist. He was talking about him and a utopia that he imagined where he had this town where drugs were free for everybody. And when you mentioned stocks there, Cash, this brought it back to my mind because he thought all drug dealers that were charging for drugs should be put in stocks in the centre of the city.
It would probably, I mean, it would work, but it would essentially put like Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia out of business.
Yeah, but if Colombia keep knocking out them spectacular football shirts, Cash.
It's true. It's you know what? This is a complete aside, but if you can ever, listeners, guys on the pod, whoever, if any of you can ever go to Colombia, do. It's fucking beautiful.
Guys, you know what? That's a good segue in. We spoke about jerseys there. We spoke about it. We're running a competition on the Anfield agenda. Well, I say it's on the Twitter page. It's across all our social media accounts. But we're giving away 5 LFC home shirts, courtesy of our friends at soccerlord.se. So even if you don't win one, there's a code you could use on there to get a 10% discount. So check out the Twitter page. It's at Anfield Agenda. You can enter the competition. You can get 3 or 4 different entries depending on, you know, how many social media platforms you use. Get on there, check it out. And as I said, 5 LFC home shirts to be given away after the West Ham game, the opening game of the season. Cash, next question for you. Oh, I must say thank you to the Raptor as well. I don't know if I have or not for the last question. This one comes in from Paul Tabley. And Paul said, if animals could talk, which one do you think would be the rudest? And which one would you be?
If I was an animal, I reckon I would either be, because of my hair and my demeanour, I'd probably be like a lion or a tiger, I think. Or maybe like a fox, if like I'm a really shit person. Like I could be like a little shitty ginger fox that like eats out of bins and that. Something ginger. But if animals, the rudest animal. See, I've got a thing that can I include birds in this? Or birds not really animal? Well, they are animals, aren't they, I suppose? They are animals. I don't know what's wrong with me. I obviously need to go to bed. I don't know. You know what? I reckon rhinos. Rhinos would be really rude. They seem like they'd be proper knobs. Like, just look at their whole, like, big, ugly face. And, yeah, just rhinos. That's my answer, sorry. Yeah.
Rhinos, geez, that is an odd one. That would have never entered my head, but fair play. I mean, you gave that some thought.
I did, sorry, guys.
That's alright. And what were you again? You were anything ginger, basically. So, anything Garfield?
Ginger. Nah. If I have depending on how I feel about myself on any given day, if I'm having a good day, like a non-fat day, then I'm a tiger and I'm like a powerful lioness. But then if I'm having a fat day, then I've got to be like a scabby fox.
Tom, do you see yourself as a bit of a lioness, buddy?
Well, a lioness? Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I am a Leo, if that counts, so I'll take it. To be fair, you say that. I was actually going to say I'll be a cat if I'm an animal, because they just have it easy, right?
Well, you do hate dogs. You've made that permanently clear, or abundantly clear. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Apparently, I hate dogs, so of course I'd be a cat. They just have it easy. They sleep, they eat, they get stroked, so they do what they want. Yeah, that's. I'll have a bit of that. That sounds really good.
And in terms of rude.
Yeah, they are quite rude. But in terms of the rudest animal, you saying fox kind of, it gave me a bit of an epiphany. I could just like imagine a fox, you know, like leaning against a bin with like a Cockney accent, having a cigarette or something, saying like, "What the fuck you looking at?" Like as it's rummaging through the bins, like you've just caught it rummaging through your bins and making a mess, and he'll get really angry at you, and he'll be like, "Yeah, what the fuck? Don't judge me." So yeah, I'll go for a fox.
I don't want to pinch Dave's answer, and I don't know if he's going to answer the same way, but when you were talking about, you said you got a bit of an epiphany when Cash started speaking about foxes. Well, when you start talking there, I got a bit of an epiphany, and I can see fucking pigeons definitely being the rudest animals.
Gangster pigeons, yeah.
Well, by nature they are, because they just shit on everything. They shit on all of your stuff. Like, how rude can you get?
Not just that, Tom. You live in that there London, and there's some big bastard pigeons down there in London.
No,
yeah, there are.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying, go to the seaside. They're pure they're pure massive. They look like genetically modified. Like they're just huge.
They're seagulls, Cash.
I don't think. What are they? Oh shit, yeah, they are. Aren't they? Fuck, I'm so bad with animals. When I was thinking of rude birds, I was thinking of like emus.
Roy Hodgson, he was never rude, really. He's a shit manager, but I never class him as rude.
Sorry, Tom. Yeah, but yeah.
Tom, you had your house barricaded in by a bird recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I was tempted to say crow would be the rudest but it hasn't been back recently. I think the neighbours had some words. They were getting pissed off that there was this crow getting angry. So yeah, there was loads of drama.
The pigeon neighbours, they sorted them out. Oi, you leave Tom alone, you slag.
Stop the pigeon! How?
I can just imagine the Phil Mitchell of pigeons strolling in now.
Get out my pub! That's Peggy, isn't it? Shit.
You're not doing well today, Cash. God love you. We love you, but you're not doing well today. You're having one of them days.
I'm back.
You spoke about being ginger. You're defo having a blonde day.
I know, and I'm not even having more fun than the ordinary person either. It's upsetting.
Dave, for you, mate, we've heard some great answers, but what is the rudest animal for you, and what one would you be?
The rudest animal I would think would be a honey badger.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good shout.
They just don't give a fuck about anything or anyone, or they just don't care. You could be a 12-foot anaconda snake. Fuck off, mate. I'm not having none of your shite today.
You've been talking to my missus again.
It could be a lion. It could be whatever it is, and it's just like, nah, mate, none of your guff. I'll bite the balls off you. Just fuck off out of here. And then if I was an animal, I'd go for just a normal badger because I'm getting old. My hair is going grey, and it's lots of black hair in there as well. So I'd just probably be a badger, yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely be some type of lazy ass monkey as well that just scratches my arse, throws its shit at people.
Craig, I think you'd be a sloth. I think you'd be a sloth. Like, I could totally see you being a big sloth.
They're part of the monkey family, aren't they?
Are they?
I don't know actually. They're mammals.
Yeah, they're definitely a mammal. Yeah, fair enough. You could be a sloth. Sloths are cool though.
I would just like to say, if David Attenborough is listening to this, I'm so sorry.
I was just about to say he's turning in his grave, but then I remembered he wasn't dead. It was his brother, wasn't it?
No, too soon.
His brother,
Too soon, Craig.
You know, I'm blaming Chris for this because he put David Attenborough in all our heads the other night when he spoke about wanting to have his job.
That's right, yeah.
Guys, we'll push on to the final question, and hopefully we won't kill off anybody during this one. This one comes in from Danny, and Cash, it's pretty straightforward. Danny wants to know, Neapolitan ice cream, scoop it across or down through the flavours? Which one?
I'd say down through the flavours because I'm not a fan of chocolate ice cream. So I'd say vanilla and strawberry. But then again, like I'm also not. I like strawberry, but vanilla's the one. So maybe I'll just, be very like basic and just have one vanilla scoop like a loser. But yeah, to answer the question, straight down through the flavours.
And are you cursing whoever bought the Neapolitan ice cream if you're in the house and your flatmate or your mate comes back with this ice cream and you don't like chocolate and the Neapolitan's there? You're losing your rag.
Well, yeah, because like if they like all three flavours and you don't, they've got to be mindful of the fact that you don't. So if they compromise the ice cream by mixing them together, then you just end up with that like a weird like icky mix, like that burger sauce that people make. Like I don't want that in my life. I don't want like a strawberry vanilla chocolate mash up in my mouth. My senses will go wild. So yes, that would annoy me.
Good answer. And Tom, I know the part of London you live in, it's all fucking upper market Neapolitan stuff and all, but if you're coming down to the common level, if you're just in Tesco, and Tesco, by the way, Tom's a supermarket, so if you're walking around there and you have to pick up this tri-coloured ice cream.
Waitrose, Craig, come on.
Never heard of it.
Okay, fair enough, that's lost on you. Carry on.
Which way are you going to scoop, Tom, if the ice cream's in front of you?
You've got to get all three. Like, as you basically already said, if you don't like one of the flavours, then you've done something wrong in getting that ice cream. You might as well just buy all three separately, because then you get more, and then you can choose which flavour you want. The point of Neapolitan is to mix them all up. That's why it exists in that tub. So you got to go across. You got to get all three on there and whack it in your mouth and have the taste sensation that is Neapolitan ice cream.
The problem there, though, Tom, is that you're going to have everything mixed in and mashed across. Yeah, you're going to have them all. The lines are going to be blurred then. You're not going to have these perfect lines. You take a scoop from each if you wanted, surely.
No. I mean, it's all gonna be mashed up in my stomach anyway. Like, I don't give a fuck. Who cares?
Is that how the butler used to present it to you?
Well, yeah, he was doing it your way, Craig. But then I got him. He went down the trap door because he didn't do it right. So then I got another one, and now he does it correctly the way I like it, and that's a cross.
Nice.
That's how the middle class works.
Dave, we found out that Tom is definitely the prick that puts the crumbs back in the butter after he's had his toast. So, what about you, buddy? How do you get your Neapolitan?
That's my butler.
Well, I'd kind of be a prick as well, and what I'd do is I'd leave like half a centimeter square all around, like the edge, and just take out everything from that in the middle. So when someone goes to open the freezer and go to look at the ice cream, it looks full, but it's actually empty. That's the way I do it, just to piss everyone off. Yeah,
I like it. Psychological warfare over ice cream. I like it, Dave.
Absolutely, especially in this heat.
Yeah, but look, anybody who's not buying either Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs is a miserable fucker anyway, and they don't deserve ice cream.
Yeah,
true.
Exactly. All right, and I'm the posh cunt here. Right, okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, Tom, the difference is I'm only buying it on special offers.
Yes, right. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, we buy the gone-off stuff.
Yeah.
Tom, a special offer is a financial incentive whereby people that aren't rich pay less for things that normally cost more money, just to make sure you're familiar with what a special offer is.
Although,
really?
It's don't get me, now, Tom.
Don't get me started on this, Cash. I want to caveat that by saying in supermarkets now, what they tend to do is they have two sizes of things, whether that be Coke, crisps, bars, chocolate, and they always have one size of it on offer and the other size not on offer, but at an absolutely fucking ridiculous price that nobody in their life has ever paid for this, just so that they can say the other one's 50% off and they can swap between the two sizes. Like, I mean, a bar of chocolate could be €4, but it's never been €4 in its life. They just want to sell it for €2 and then swap it back over, sell the bigger size for X amount. It's ridiculous. It's really pissed me off.
Fair enough.
Apologies for the rant, listeners, but you guys have probably heard me talking about shrinkflation and the like, and it's something that really gets on my nerves. But we'll push back to football. We'll get back to LFC. Cash, the Reds started the pre-season tour of America last night. Unfortunately, they lost 3-1 to Borussia Dortmund, but that's not important. What I want to know is, did anybody on the field catch your eye? Anyone you were impressed with? And how do you think the game went in general?
I actually saw this game, which I was really happy about because normally work precludes me from watching them live. But I thought it was a good game. I thought it was like disjointed in parts, but that's what you'd expect in pre-season. I thought, as we were talking about before the pod and Tom mentioned, I thought Borussia Dortmund's first half team was very weak, whereas their second half team was very strong. And I do feel like from our perspective, although we lost, I don't think 3-1 really reflected the course of the game that much. I think we were guilty of missing quite a few good chances, one particularly from Dominic Solanke that he should 100% have scored. And I think if you look at the people that caught your eye, it might be predictable to say, but, Naby Keita again was really, really good, I thought, in the second half. I think, both this and the Blackburn game have really served to demonstrate that he is like a real class above everyone else on the pitch and has been so far. So I'd say him. But then I also thought that in the first half, I thought Adam Lallana looked likely at certain points. I thought that hairdo that was fucking brutal. He needs to get rid of that. Thought he looked quite lively. I felt that it was nice to see, although he wasn't lively because it's not really his style, but it was nice to see Nathaniel Klein play an hour. He thought he was tidy without being like glamorous. And then obviously Virgil van Dijk because he scored, and just the second half, the defence was decidedly weaker and he wasn't in it. So there you go. Just
touching on the Virgil van Dijk goal, Cash. Nice little short corner. Andy Robertson floated into on a sixpence right onto Virgil van Dijk's head, but the defender from Dortmund was non-existent.
Well, like no one even jumped for it. It was almost as if they were like, right, lads, we're not getting this, and he's built like a fucking brick shit house. Let's just not bother. But like, it was always something they'd worked on in training and stuff, and it was well executed. And it was funny because Andy Robertson posted about it on Instagram. And then like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain commented underneath being like, I've been watching you through the gym windows, hit these crosses all pre-season, and this is the first one that you've got off the deck, so well done. which I thought was quite funny. Yeah, it was good. It was well worked and everything, and obviously it was made to look better by the fact that it was just Virgil van Dijk. It was almost as if the whistle had gone for Dortmund because they just stopped playing. But a goal's a goal, so I was happy.
Yeah, you've got to love Chamber. Fair play to him, well in. Tom, The second half is when Naby Keita took to the field, and Cash already touched on it. I thought he looked head and shoulders above any other footballer from either side on that pitch. I absolutely love him, and I want him to be my dad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that as well. He's probably the player I'm most excited about to watch play. I know, obviously, we've got Alisson, and that's great, Fabinho, but Keita, he just looks so class. He just seems to have everything in his locker. Like, he looks like he could be a mix of Patrick Vieira and Andres Iniesta, like, at the same time. Yeah. I don't know what it is. He's really strong and physical, but he's also got a really good touch, and his dribbling, I think, is probably one of his best aspects. And the engine on him, you can tell he loves winning that ball high up. So yeah, he just looks like a perfect Klopp midfielder. I'm really excited to see him play. What's the guy's name? The young guy, is it Jones? Curtis Jones.
Yeah, Curtis Jones.
Yeah, with the afro. Yeah, that's the guy.
Beautiful head of hair.
His name. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I think he's like 17, isn't he? He wasn't like amazing last night. I can't remember if he was first or second half. I just remember seeing him thinking he looks quite mature for his age, and he looks quite confident on the ball, and he just looks like he's got a bit about him. He looks like he could grow into a tidy little player. He goes about himself on the pitch like with real confidence, getting around someone, and he knows when to play an easy pass, and he seems to know when to kind of give it a little more and express himself. So yeah, I think he's done himself a lot of favors this preseason, by the sounds of it. This is the first one I really watched, to be honest. But yeah, I think those two are the two players that really stood out for me.
I think Curtis Jones, he was on in the first half, and I remember thinking that as well. I remember thinking he said in an interview the other day that obviously his role for the senior team is vastly different to that in the younger sides, because obviously he's not a senior player within the senior team. But he seems very confident within his ability and within his, belief that he can adapt to whatever role is given to him by the manager. And you've also got to think, if a player is distinguishing themselves in pre-season to the extent that he has with that midfield that we now have, albeit we're missing a couple of players, you've got to think like he must be really highly rated. And you would argue, and people may not agree with this, but I would say Klopp seems to be rating him currently more highly than he rates Woodburn, for example.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Woodburn was decent as well. But I think this kid seems to, from what the little that I've seen of him, and I know Woodburn probably hasn't really been given a huge or fair crack at it himself. But yeah, definitely watch out for Jones. He does look like real quality.
I have to say, I think Divock Origi was absolute horseshit.
Oh yeah, he was. He was terrible. You know what? Markovic looked actually half decent. Dare I say that? In that, I think he was on first half. He was actually causing them some problems, which was mad. And and that made Origi look even worse. The fact that Markovic was doing all right, yeah, I did notice that as well.
Origi is he actually is like horrendous. Like he was decisive in that Europa League final run in 2016, and now it just looks like he has barely played football. Like he just looks completely he looks slow. He's constantly offside. Yeah. He's so unintelligent. It's just like having a big fucking racing horse on the pitch. Like it's pointless. Like he literally is just a big sack. Like, he really annoys me.
That ball you're talking about from Adam Lallana where he was caught offside, I was fucking fuming at that, because that was just laziness. That was absolute laziness.
Yeah.
I just feel like you're at an amazing club. You've got a potential platform. Being a centre forward for us is one of the positions where he could potentially get minutes, because we're looking for that perfect backup for Firmino. And he, in this pre-season, has just been absolutely dire. I'm almost certain I had given a better account of myself yesterday. Like, he is just, it really frustrates me, because I feel like he earns an awful lot of money. He will still get a move to a decent club once he leaves Liverpool. And why? He's absolutely shocking. He's one of my least favourite players that I've seen for Liverpool in a number of years. Just completely not on our radar at all.
Dave, Cash has gone full on lioness there, but we know what mood she's in today anyway. She's making that one clear. But she did touch on the forwards, and the drop-off that we have from the big three to what we have now was abundantly clear. And there was a couple of occasions in the second half, and the two I'm speaking about here are Ojo and Solanke with a header at the back post, where they both should have done better.
Yeah, Dominic Solanke's been disappointing this pre-season. I thought, when he was on last season, and then I suppose the cameo appearances he had, he was at least getting into good positions. Fair enough, he wasn't finishing them, but you could see that bit of intelligence, with the runs he was making, and he wasn't getting caught offside. Now it's a different story. He's been getting caught offside a bit too easy now. And I don't know if that's fitness or if it's just, look, laziness. Regarding Divock Origi, the quicker he's gone, the better, because he's absolute horseshit. It's as simple as that. We said that weeks ago. I watched him when he was at Wolfsburg, and I could have. I don't know how I'm not a professional footballer if he is. Hopeless footballer, really. He's no place in that club team, unfortunately.
Is there anything for you, Dave, that did stand out in that game, or anything that you thought was different?
Daniel Sturridge looks good, which is really, really good to see. I think when he went down as well, I was like, oh, fuck. And he held his side, and I was like, is he just going to do his Danny Sturridge and just, call for the substitution? But he got back on, he got on with it. And he looks stronger, he looks leaner. I don't know if that's just me, or if it's the Liverpool jersey, or if it's the new haircut or something, but he looks leaner, he looks fitter. He looks, dare I say it, like the Danny Sturridge fitness-wise and physique-wise of 13-14. And look, if we get the Danny Sturridge, then, well, look, we have a backup player in abundance. What can I say about Naby Keita that hasn't been said before? I've had a piss horn for him since we've been linked to it, and I'm so glad he's at the club. I adore the man. I'm like you, Craig. I want him to be my dad, my uncle, my brother, my grandfather, my lover, whatever it takes, really. He's just sensational. He's the man we've been crying out for a hell of a long time, because we need that shithousery in midfield who's just going to break people. And not only that, it's not only the shithousery side of it, but he's so fit. He's so quick, and he's so intelligent on and off the ball. You can see the space, not only he makes himself, but for other players. And you've seen that against Dortmund. I'm not really looking too much into that Dortmund game, because we have so many players still missing. And look, the team was just a mixed match of different players. There's one other player who's stood out for me as well in this preseason, is Nat Phillips, the centre-back. I'd like to see him maybe get some minutes against United and City to see, what's he like? Because he's captain of the under-23s. He did have a bad injury, not last season, but 2 seasons ago, I think, as well, where he just didn't get on. But he was given the captain's armband for the under-23s. Yeah, and I'd like to see him a bit more in the preseason to see what he's about, basically, in kind of, I suppose, first team football.
I'd love to know, when Klein came off and he came on, was that the first ever Nathaniel substitution? Because it was fucking strange.
I thought that when I saw it, I was like, this is so fucking weird. And they couldn't be more different looking either, like both Nathaniels, but completely like polar opposite, like in terms of appearance. It was really
Hence
bizarre.
why I'm calling him Nat instead of Nathaniel, yeah.
I know.
Guys, look, you all know I love you, but I'm afraid I have to bring up this topic. And Cash, I'm going to come to you first on it. The Loris Karius issue, excuse me, it just won't go away. And he's not helping himself.
No, I mean, I've sort of been vocal on what I think about this. And I think, for me, my argument has always been the two things, the issue, has to be distinguished into 2 sections. Firstly, you've got the footballing ability side. And in that respect, Karius is playing terribly. His confidence is clearly shot in a manner that is, it's quite clear now that it's not shot in a temporary sense. It seems quite permanent in the sense of there's no improvement. So is he now good enough in footballing terms to be number 1 at the club? No. We've already known that anyway, because we've bought Alisson. So in that respect, that's the first part, the footballing ability, and he's not good enough. And if he leaves to play somewhere else as the number 1, good luck to him. But the second part of this issue, I think, that has become apparent is the abuse element, and it's the fact that even if he was good enough, even if he did recover from this blip, even if he regained his confidence, even if he had a stellar 10, 12, 15 games, the abuse that he gets for this, like for every little indiscretion from certain members of the fan base, is disgusting. Like, I've read some of the stuff that people have said about him, and forget about the footballing stuff. Just from a humanitarian perspective, no one deserves the amount of vitriol he's getting for simply not being good enough at their job. So this is his job. He's not good enough for the job. Take measures to reflect that and have him leave the club or go on loan or whatever. But if we talked about retribution in an earlier question with the listeners' questions. Retribution for not being good enough for your job isn't being told that you should go and die. It isn't being told that you need to fucking, shoot yourself or X, Y, and Z, whatever. So if you separate it into the footballing side and the humanitarian side, what's happening to him on a humanitarian level isn't fair. But from a footballing perspective, he needs to move, or something needs to happen to reignite his career or allow him to rebuild or whatever, because the situation is toxic. And that's what I think.
Tom, I'm about to go full on cheesy here, but the phrase "you'll never walk alone" isn't just something that we can utter as fans. It genuinely has to mean something, specifically in this context, because it's fair enough Cash saying, me saying, maybe you, Dave, whoever saying that we don't think the player is good enough at this moment in time to play for Liverpool Football Club. That being said, he's still a Liverpool Football Club employee who we have a responsibility to help. We have a responsibility to help build this guy's life back up, and at him on social media or death threats or some of the nonsense that's gone on, it's beyond acceptable.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. Just on a basic, fundamental human level, I feel absolutely awful for him. His career has just gone to absolute shit at the moment, and I'm sure, eventually he'll recover, and he'll be a goalkeeper again at some point at a decent level. But it's just like right now, it's in a really dark place, and with the whole society, getting a lot more aware of mental health issues and things like that going around, and to see, like Cash said, the amount of stuff and what's being said to him on social media, and people know that he looks at social media as well. I think that's probably why he's been targeted even more, because people know that he's active on there and that he'll probably see it. It's just pretty disgusting, and it's like, I'm not one to like tell people what to do and talk about this stuff, but you're just crossing a line. Like, it's way too far. So yeah, just stop doing that. Give your head a wobble. Like you said, he is still a Liverpool player. It's absolutely fine to criticize him as a goalkeeper. I think that's completely fair, because like most people, I also think that he's just shot now. Like, it's just gone, and I don't think he can rebuild his career even in this country, let alone doing it at Liverpool. I think it would just be too. Just imagine him at a ground, like if he makes a mistake, like any ground in the Premier League, it would just be it'd be a nightmare for him. I think he has to go back to Germany or somewhere else for this to work out.
Tom, sorry, mate.
I'll just say it is sad what's happened to him, but he just isn't good enough. And he's, like I said, he needs to rebuild his career somewhere else, I think.
Tom, is it perhaps getting to the point where, yes, we brought in Alisson Becker, and that's absolutely amazing, but is it getting to the point where Jurgen Klopp has to maybe ask himself, well, shit, am I going to have to keep Mignolet in here as a number 2, and as you said, maybe move Karius on? Or perhaps if Mignolet is adamant on moving, move both on and end up bringing in another keeper, or really putting faith in Grabara or Queevy Kelleher or somebody else from the youth system?
I'm not sure he'll go and put that much faith in the youth system goalkeeper, because judging on what he did last year with the keepers, he might not do exactly the same this year. But, I feel like there will be some rotation in certain competitions potentially. So, I don't think we can rely on those youngsters for that. But like you said, I think he has to do at least one of those options. So either he gets rid of both and signs someone else, or he keeps one of them. Potentially Mignolet, but Mignolet definitely wants to go, and like I said, I think Karius has to leave to rebuild his career. So I think he's the more likely to stay, but I don't think that'd be a good move for anyone. I just can't see Karius playing for us like in this state, and that just means we'll have to go out and buy someone else. And it seems weird now, but does anyone else feel like we might regret selling Danny Ward? I know he probably deserved a chance somewhere else, but if as a backup keeper, I mean, would you take him now and let Mignolet and Karius go? I feel like I probably would right now.
Cash, you want to come in on
that?
Yeah,
I was just going to say 2 quick points. I think firstly, I think you're right, Tom, in the sense that you may well end up regretting selling Danny Ward purely because of your keepers. He's the one with whom there's no problem. He would have stayed if we'd not accepted a bid for him. So you've got a non-problematic second choice keeper there who is competent, who doesn't want to leave like Mignolet, and who isn't going through a mental crisis like Karius. So that could be a regret. But the other thing is, you said something really interesting, which was that Karius is being targeted more because he looks at social media. And I had an argument with a troll today who basically said that because he's fancy and did that video in LA, and who, from social media, you can glean that he knows he's a good-looking lad, because of his whole persona, he basically advocated that he deserves the abuse because of the way he conducts himself. And I think that is an absolutely ludicrous argument, when you consider the fact that, okay, I think it's a bit gratuitous, and I thought that video was stupid, that one of him in LA. But at the same time, just because someone conducts themselves in a flamboyant, sort of extroverted way in that respect, that doesn't open the gate for people to just lambast him the way that they have been. And that made me really, really angry. And it also made me really think, is that how some fans feel? Like, if a player keeps themselves to themselves and never says a word, that's fine. But if a player's outwardly extroverted on social media like KARIUS, that means they can take more. I just think that really doesn't stack up at all.
Tom, as a beautiful man yourself, what do you think there about what Cash has to say?
Well, I don't agree with your first part, but yeah, it's just sad that like that's what social media's come to now, really, and it's just kind of what it's almost sad that we kind of expect it now. Like, you just expect people to get wrecked for no real reason. Like Cash said, it's not like he was harming anyone doing those videos or posting pictures of himself on Instagram or whatever. He's not doing that to wreck anyone. So why should he like put up with abuse from fans of his own club telling him to go and die and, oh look, we got Allison, like, you're fucking useless now, whatever. Yeah, it's just not on.
And Dave, for you, you've heard what Cash and Tom have had to say. What's your take on the whole Loris Karius situation?
I think it's come to the stage now where you have to look at, when do you say, if you're Jurgen Klopp, as you said, I can't leave this lad in the team anymore, just for his own mental, I suppose, his own mental state. And I'd go back to something which was really sad, and it was a book I read a few years ago about a former Hanover and Benfica goalkeeper called Robert Enke.
Oh yeah, I've read that.
It's tragic what happened to him. It's so sad. If anyone hasn't read it, I forget the name of the book. I'll try to dig it out. I have it here somewhere, and I'll tweet it later. But it's horrific, and you know, people do get pushed over the edge. Loris Karius, he's a human being. He's a young man who has, please God, a bright future ahead of him, and you know, whether that be at Liverpool or somewhere else. Look, the lad's made mistakes. We all make mistakes in life. Fuck's sake, like, you know, I'd love to meet someone who hasn't made a mistake, because they're non-existent. It's just because he's in the public profile that people think they have a stick to beat him with, which is, you know, it's not right. And Cash is right. Just because he is an extrovert, you know, just because he is a bit of flamboyant, people, you know, they have the right to criticize him, which is absolute bullshit. It's like saying the same thing about someone's religion, their sexual orientation, whatever it might be. You can't put down people for just them being themselves. You know, someone being themselves, to me, should absolutely be applauded if you know, they're not harming anyone, which he's not. It's just it's horrific, the abuse he's getting on social media. And look, while he is a live bird on his chest, you know, he gets my full backing. Yes, Tom is right as well. We can criticize players. You can criticize players in a constructive manner, which is no problem. We all get criticized in every walk of life, and it's how you take it and grow with it and learn from it. But you know, to abuse someone at the amount that Loris Karius is getting abused at, me personally, they're not Liverpool fans, they're not even football fans. They're just fucking idiots.
Yeah, great.
Who I would love to see these people in a room one by one with Loris Karius, because he'd fucking chin them, I'd say. You know, they're big men behind their keyboards and all this, but I'd love to see, you know, the likes of, let's say, even Naby Keita or, you know, VVD in a room with them by themselves, and for them people to say that to one of their faces, they'd have their jaw broken. You know, they're pathetic people who do it. And look, as I said, just going back to my original point, Jurgen Klopp, as a manager and as a guardian of these players, has to turn around and say, look, I need to take this lad out of the spotlight, because he's being destroyed. You've seen Sadio Mane yesterday putting his arm around him when the game was finished. But it's a difficult situation. And, you know, you say that about Danny Ward. I'm kind of glad for Danny Ward that he has gone, because Danny Ward deserves his chance to be a first-team goalkeeper with a Premier League club. He deserves that opportunity, and good luck to the lad. My thoughts on Simon Mignolet are very simple. He's been linked with Barcelona. If he wants to go to Barcelona, fine. But if Simon Mignolet thinks he's going to Barcelona to play first-team football, he's been smoking something very strong, or he's taking some very strong mushrooms, because that is not happening. So what's the difference in being second, third choice keeper at Barcelona than being the second, third choice keeper at Liverpool Football Club?
Yeah.
I'd say probably the city. Probably the city might appeal to him as a European.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's not going there to be a first-team goalkeeper. So is he just going there for the money? Is he just going there for an easy way out? Or what's the situation? Because he's the same situation as if he stays at Liverpool, as he goes to Barcelona, he's going to he'll have splinters up his arse. So
I think he's got I think he wants to have his cake and eat it too, doesn't he? He wants to be number one, but he doesn't want to sacrifice the level of football he's playing at. But realistically, he's not good enough to be number one at the very top level. So he's going to have to sacrifice, compromise on the level he's playing at. Otherwise, he will just have splinters in his arse. Like you say, Dave. And I think like with the KARIUS thing, obviously, did you see Mohamed Salah tweeted today saying, ignore those who hate, we support you. But it's like, how far have certain sets of the fan base fallen that your star player has got to come out and tweet that? That's embarrassing. I think that's embarrassing and reflects really badly on those that criticise him. Like, well done for Mohamed Salah tweeting that, but why should he have to? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, for me, that just screams volumes, and I think it's really embarrassing.
It is, and these fucking idiots, the very ones that will write "You'll never walk alone" after all their posts and stuff like that when things are going well, because everything's great when things are going well. But look, we could talk about this when we're blue in the face. Before we finish up tonight, I want to have a little chat about the transfer window, and it's kind of a twofold conversation, Cash. So the first thing I want to have a chat about is we've seen the Reds go and sign Alisson Becker this week for a world record fee from Roma. It's made my summer. I'm not going to lie, I'm absolutely over the moon. But do you think we're going to dip our toes in the transfer window again with regards to incomings? And secondly, I want to know your thoughts on the window closing early for the Premier League clubs, and will that possibly give an advantage to the clubs in Serie A, La Liga and stuff like that, that the window's still open for them until the end of August?
To answer your first part of the question, I think we will go back into the market if the goalkeeper situation changes dramatically in respect of KARIUS and Mignolet both wanting to leave. Obviously KARIUS is now apparently considering his future. So should he leave and Mignolet leave, then I think you've got to go back in for another goalkeeper at that point. But then in terms of like other players, 2 points in that respect. Obviously there's that much publicised picture of Fekir and conversation that he's allegedly had saying, God willing, I'll still join Liverpool. But that deal feels quite precarious insofar as it seems very much in Lyon's hands, as well as the club's hands, and whether they want to re-engage in talks remains to be seen. Obviously, that's a transfer we'd like to see happen, but I think that one's the least likely if we go back into the market. But what we could do with is, maybe another centre-back. Obviously, Matip crawled out last night. Clavin and Gomez both looked a bit lethargic, to say the least. Big Virgil was a salmon, but he's only one player. And I think your centre back options are looking decidedly thin again. Obviously, Lovren's still to come back. So those are the goalkeeper and centre back are the areas that I think would become a priority should things change. Fekir signing would be a bonus. To answer your first part of the question, to answer your second part of the question, do I think the window closing before the start of the Premier League season is a good thing for the Premier League? But it makes the assumption that we're not trading within a global game. Which we are, and I think we're only going to know when we see it transpire this year whether or not it proves to be a disadvantage. But my initial instinct would be, I would have liked this to happen, but uniform across the board so that it closes for everyone at the same time. Because realistically, you're not going to have the same. You're just going to end up having 2 episodes of Sky Sports News with Jimmy, what's his face, with that yellow tie on. You're going to have the Premier League deadline day, and you're going to have the deadline day for the rest of Europe. Or the rest of the main leagues in Europe. So I think I don't know if it'll prove a disadvantage, but I don't think it really satisfies the aim that it was meant to, in the sense that it was meant to stop disruption for clubs, in terms of the football. And I don't think it's going to do that entirely because it's a global game.
Very good answers, Cash. I very much enjoyed sitting back and just listening to your thoughts on that. Thank you very much. Tom, for you, both same part of the question to you as well, my friend. Do you think it's going to put the Premier League clubs at a disadvantage? And also, do you think we'll dip our toes in the transfer water again?
I mean, just by simple logic, really, because the fact that the other teams across the world and in Europe can buy our players, and we can't really do anything to rectify that. So yes, they are at an advantage, particularly in the World Cup year as well, when our transfer window is now squeezed in basically to a couple of weeks. In terms of any more business, I think I'm still holding out hope for Fekir. The vibe I'm getting off Twitter and certain people is, it seems to me that I think the ball might actually be in Fekir and his entourage's court. I think, for a man that doesn't want to sell his captain and best player, Aulas is talking a lot about his best player and captain and getting him on a new contract, etc. It's still, to me, I think it is still a big poker game. And at the moment, what Liverpool are doing is saying we're not interested. And I think we're so uninterested that even like the French media in the last couple of days have said, yeah, they're probably not going to go in for him. And I think that's exactly the position that we want to be in. So then Aulas is just flapping, and the cards are all close to our chest. And hopefully, Fekir clearly wants to go to Liverpool. That's obvious. So to me, I think the ball is in his court and our court in a way as well. So if Fekir holds out, then I think it could happen. I'm still hopeful for that one. Of course, yeah, we've got at the moment the second choice keeper is a bit up in the air, so we could see some activity there. Other than that, I'm not too sure on the rest of it. But yeah, I'm still hopeful on Nabil Fekir.
Tom, you do know I love a theory, and I love to kind of plug things out of the air and make it up in my head and then project it into the world. So I have an idea that maybe Fekir, the money was there for Fekir, that's clearly obvious. Fekir was wanted by Liverpool, that deal got as far as it did. But I'm wondering now, was the whole Alisson thing almost not an afterthought by Klopp, but did all the cards fall into the right place at the right time for Jurgen Klopp, particularly with the Chelsea situation and their keeper, the mistakes from Loris Karius in pre-season proving that he may well not be able to resurrect his career? And was that money then used to bring in Alisson?
I don't know about the money in terms of what the cards falling into place. I think it's yes and no, because we were linked with him for quite a long time, since the back end of last year even. So he's clearly been on our radar and very strongly linked as well. I mean, it was widely reported that we'd had meetings with his representatives in January, February time when there was that Brazil friendly. So the links have been there for a long time, but I feel like at that point, yeah, he might have seen Karius and assessed him, and yeah, the Chelsea thing that brought in some pressure. And I feel like Roma probably lowered their price a little bit compared to what they said in January. And and we just thought, like, all of that fell into place, and we just thought, yeah, fuck it, let's just go for it. It's the chance to get a world-class keeper. We might as well take that. I'm not sure about using the Fekir money. I don't know. That is an interesting one. I feel like we've made enough money in the past for that money to still be available. I mean, we got 140 mil for Coutinho. I know we spent a lot of that. 90 million in the Champions League. The TV money, we got the most in the league last season, and that's been going up and up over the years. All the new brand deals and sponsorships that we talk about, FSG are good at. So the money should be there, in my opinion. I know I would say that, but I don't know. I feel like the money would be there, and they wouldn't be really mutually exclusive in a way. So yeah, I'm still hopeful for Fekir, Craig. I'm really hopeful.
Interesting stuff, guys. You know what? Time has beaten us on this show. It's been a really fun agenda, and I've really enjoyed going through it with you guys. But as I said, time has beaten us. Just a reminder to all the listeners, if you want to be in with a chance to win one of 5 LFC replica home shirts, then check out the Anfield Agenda Twitter page, where we're running a competition in association with our friends at soccerlord.se for your chance to win one of those 5 shirts. Thank you so much to Cash, to Tom, and to Dave for joining me. Thank you to you guys for listening. Up the Reds.